moved to Japan 10 years ago. Now I live in Wakayama in the mountains, in a house made of thatch. Wakayama is a region that's just below Kyoto and Nara. It's a place that people have called the spiritual heartlands of Japan. We were making films all across the world, so it was Korea 1 week. We went to Tanzania, Kenya to look for people smuggling elephant tusks. So a lot of very, very interesting stories, and some of them were about politics. So I wanted a political science degree in Japan, and afterwards, Japan was way too interesting to leave, so I decided to stay here. My parents were quite worried. They kept asking me to call them every night, but they came to visit. They saw how I was living. It was a very cold, small house at the start. It was difficult financially, of course, to set up a company. I set it up with a friend. It was quite successful. For 3 years, we ran Kyoto's top-rated backpackers hostel. We had quite a lot of savings. We were about to hire more people. Then COVID struck. COVID was quite a big shock because COVID came when the company was doing very well. So we had lots of bookings. We were about to hire 2 or 3 people. For the first 3 months, we were sitting around thinking maybe this will end very soon. At the start, it was looking at the bank balance going lower and lower. Thankfully, online tours were starting to become a thing, and Airbnb invited us to be one of the first to join the online experiences program. For the first 2 years of the pandemic, that's how we got by. I met someone called Shu. So we met at a tea festival. So I asked him how his tea was made. He said, why don't you visit Ryujin, this place where I stay? And I came here. Third or fourth time, he started bringing me to the streams. There's some tea trees in the mountains. So we went to the mountains to pluck tea. And I started seeing different parts of Ryujin that I really liked. I thought, oh, why don't I move here as soon as possible? It was very interesting because I never had to live in a house without a flushing toilet before. This was a hole in the ground. The big difference between a city and here was that people are very close to each other. So I started having neighbors come in. They would just walk into the house because that's the custom here. So it was a very big change, I would say. You can see this house, it looks kind of nice now. So at first I started, I didn't think it would be this nice. But then people started coming and they're saying oh, this looks like a ryokan, but it's not a ryokan. Then I was like, maybe people would pay to stay here. The idea of starting a guest house came up, but there's nowhere to eat because the nearest place is 15 minutes away. So if you don't have a restaurant, then no one's going to come for the lodging. I discussed with Shu. He said, yeah, I'll help you with a restaurant. We started a cafe here, and the result has been very gratifying. The online tours helped me to pay for a lot of the renovations here. And we got a subsidy from the Japanese government for the cafe, a partial subsidy. They didn't pay for everything. So it was a lot of investment, and money was the main thing. And I would say mostly it's because of the change we had due to COVID. If there wasn't COVID, then the company would have been doing well, but then maybe I wouldn't have moved here in the first place. So that's the other thing. What's been keeping me going is that the locals really support this project here. They see that the house is being restored. They appreciate that a building is being kept in this state, a nice state that's not going to waste. Preserving a small part of the village, which you have seen, wouldn't be here in a couple of years if no one was to stay here. But I chose to came here, and I think the locals really appreciate that I made the jump. In Singapore, I never had to repair my house because I live in HDB, right? HDB, if the wall breaks down, you call HDB. Most people are like, oh, you never studied architecture, how can you do this? But the thing is, 300 years ago, when people built this house, who do you think built this house? It's the people who lived here. So the biggest lesson here is that actually anyone can do anything, including build a house, as long as you put your mind to it. So the advice for anyone who wants to move overseas, right? Actually live in the place that you want to live in first. See if there are jobs that may interest you, or if you can create jobs that will interest you there. And see how plausible it is before you jump into it. You may see that the grass is greener on the other side, like in the movies. So it really depends on the time in your life you're moving to a place. Also, financially, does it work for you? All those questions you have to answer yourself. Probably start small first. Go to the place you want to see, you want to be, and don't go as a general tourist, because then you only see the good things, right?